Hello everybody, I'm Catriona Morten. I'm a sensory-motor psychotherapist, and today what I'd like to talk to you about is why talking therapy, just pure talking therapy, doesn't really work with trauma. It's brilliant for other things, but not when we've got a really traumatised nervous system and amygdala. But before I jump into that, if you're enjoying these videos, then give us a like and subscribe to our channel because it really helps us get out there and speak to more of you. As I've said in other videos, trauma is very different. Trauma is very different to just having bad memories and things that have happened to you. When we've got things that we need to kind of unravel and sort out and make sense of, then talking therapy is brilliant. You know, talking therapy, CBT, there's loads of different modalities that are fantastic. But when it comes to trauma, because it's lodged in your amygdala, and when that goes off, when something reminds your amygdala of that trauma that's happened, no matter how long ago, your whole nervous system goes off. You feel it, it's debilitating, it takes you over completely. When someone comes into me and if they want to tell me the story, the narrative of why they've come to therapy, then often two things happen. Either they can tell me this litany of terrible things and have zero effect. It's like, and then I went to the shop and bought a pint of milk. It's like, wow. I'm kind of going, goodness me, you know, wow. But that's really impacting. And they're flat as a pancake. So I know that in order to tell this story, in order to talk about some things that have happened, they've had to find a way of disconnecting from the emotion of it because it's too much. And so it just becomes words with absolutely no meaning, no connection to them because it's too painful. But the telling of it, it's kind of up here. It changes nothing. Or the other thing that happens is somebody begins to tell me why they're here and what's happened to them, and they get completely overwhelmed. Sometimes they dissociate, but it just completely takes them over and they go offline and they can't do it. When someone comes to me, I make it really clear that one, they only have to tell me what they're very comfortable telling me. And secondly, it's not about the story. It's not that I don't want to hear, but it's got to be in a really managed, safe, connected way. And so the first thing we have to do is connect into the body. So when they become very, very disconnected because it's been too much, people have absolutely no idea of how their body's reacting, what it's doing, what it's telling them. And they're also completely detached from the emotions. And so we have to begin to wake that up. If all I did was listen to somebody's story, especially when it's in a really detached way, I'm engaged in the stuff, the narrative of it, the kind of content. And I'm not engaged in what the body is actually doing, somebody's nervous system. I'm tuning in. When someone's telling me something, it's like I'm doing a dual thing. I'm listening to what they're telling me. I'm looking for patterns of things that they're telling me, but I'm also looking at how their body is actually responding when they're talking and what they're doing, how it's moving. Are their hands going in and hiding? Is their whole frame shifting? Are their feet jiggling? Are they moving around? I'm looking at the message, the story, the narrative that the body is telling when we're doing the words and the content. So if we're going to talk about something that is going to set our nervous system off, and the amygdala and the nervous system believe that this trauma, it relives, it's as though it's happening again, which is why people feel absolutely completely overwhelmed, terrified. I don't want somebody going out of their window of tolerance. I want somebody to be able to stay online, keep their thinking brain online, but be aware of what's happening. That way you can have one foot in the past. The past is the effect that is starting to show up in your nervous system. whether it's through your breath, through your arms and legs, whether it's a freeze or you've got a bit of a flight response going. We want to be able to have that bit of activation, but with a really clear understanding of that's in the here and now. And we can give the body that experience of this is happening in the here and now. We're not just going to relive this story and the same story that's happening in the body. We're going to find a way to, one, make sure we can regulate it, but also when we follow the body's story, we can often see either what's trying to happen or the thing that absolutely can't happen. You know, if we're going into a freeze, then we know that the thing that we need to be able to do is find a way to spontaneously help the body and freeze so that we can have some movement. So then we go back, and when we're telling that piece of the story, or they're visualizing that thing if they don't want to say it, but able to keep moving with it. That way you're processing the trauma. You're not just reliving it, because now we have a new neural pathway. We have a new outcome, a new present moment experience of what it's like to remember that traumatic thing in the past. And with trauma, it's got to be that physical thing, because it's how we process. You know, if it's flashbacks or if it's a kind of body flashback that we just get this overwhelming sense, it will be consistent. It'll do the same thing every single time, depending what is triggered. If there's a particular noise that triggers someone, or a particular smell that triggers someone, their nervous system and their body will react in the same way every single time, and it'll feel like it just comes on in a flash, in a nanosecond. It's like 1 minute I'm okay, next minute wallop, I'm frozen, I'm dissociated, or I just want to run and I feel terrified. In therapy, I have to be able to really slow it down, which is why I really have to keep people in their window, so we notice a little bit of affect. And it might feel as though we're only doing little baby steps sometimes, but those little baby steps make a massive, massive difference. Some people literally can't talk about what's happened to them, and some people literally don't want to talk about what's happened to them. And the good news is that they don't have to. Some people have no memory of what's happened to them, but the body has. Some people, if you've been knocked unconscious from behind, you're going to have no memory of what's happened. The body most certainly will. The body will have an immediate, because it's had that experience, it knows that that can happen. And so hypervigilance is going to be absolutely super on. And if someone has a flight response, the slightest thing, poof, off. If they've got a fight response, they're going to be going for it. But without an understanding of what's happened and what's going on. We don't need the story. A body will tell its story. It will tell the things it's had to do. It will shrink, it will freeze, it will move in a particular way. And when we learn to tune into that, that can be really, really validating for someone. Because most people that come and see me, things aren't making any sense. They don't know why they're behaving the way that, or reacting the way that they're behaving to certain things. But they know that they are, and they know that that is really impeding their life. And so I have to be able to help them put these things together, to help them to understand what's actually happening in the here and now. And when there's a particular thing the body's doing, instead of looking at it as a problem, when we can say, would that have been a useful coping strategy at some point? Oh yes, it would have been. The body keeps that body memory, and it will redo and keep doing things until we can process and give it a new present moment experience, so it can change and let go of these old coping mechanisms, patterns of behaviours, triggers. We all want to be understood and seen. We all want people to listen to us, to understand us, to get where we're coming from. And it's especially important in therapy that that happens. That it's not just about the content, it's about the whole present moment experience. I pick up the relationship that the person has with their body. I pick up the reactions and the way that the body is responding to what's being told and in the presence of someone else. And I'm there to listen and to translate what the body's actually telling them, so I can help the person have a better relationship, to start doing the noticing themselves, to be really aware of what the body's doing in order to help it, not to just shift it and change it and make it go away. It'll just come back the minute you take your awareness away from things. Your body will just go back into its patterns, and it's those patterns that are really visible. And when people come and they have the experience of really being seen in a very accepting, totally understanding, everything that shows up is welcome, then it can be a very, very validating and kind of heartfelt experience. Then when you can build that relationship up, the relationship between the client and myself, and the relationship between the client and themselves, when we've got that, then so many things can come. There's trust, it feels safe, it feels safe to step out the comfort zone and do different things. And so that's why when it's trauma, you really have to be able to include the body in some way or another. Lots of practitioners do it very differently, but that has to be an element. Otherwise, nothing will change, and things have to change. It has to loosen its grip on us so that we can function and be the people that we want to be, do the things that we want to be able to do. So I hope that helps explain why talking therapy isn't on its own going to really be effective with trauma. It's brilliant for other things, but not from a place of trauma. So I hope that's been helpful, useful, helps you make sense of things. If you've enjoyed this video, then give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye!